You don't notice it at first. The room is small, quiet, almost too quiet. The candle trembles in your hand, wax running slowly over your fingers. There's a smell in the air. Damp wood, something stale, like the room has been closed for too long. You sit on the edge of the bed, and then you hear it, a soft sound. Behind you, not loud, not clear, just enough to make you stop breathing. You tell yourself it's nothing. Old houses make noises. But then you feel it. Not a touch. Not yet. Just the feeling that something is closer than it should be. You rented this room because it was cheap. Victorian London, late 19th century. Rooms like this were everywhere. Small, crowded, often shared with strangers you never really met. People came and went quickly. Sometimes overnight. Sometimes without explanation. The air feels heavier now. The candlelight flickers again. Not from wind, but from movement. You haven't turned around yet. But something inside you already knows. You are not alone in this room. And whatever is behind you has been here longer than you. And now, it knows you're here too. And this is only one story. There are many more like this, hidden in history. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, you might want to stay. The room that wasn't empty. You don't turn around, not yet. The candle trembles in your hand, and the wax slowly drips down your fingers, but you barely notice it. All you can feel now is the air behind you. It's changed, not colder, not warmer, just different. You're sitting on the edge of a narrow bed. The boards beneath you creak softly, as if reacting not to your weight, but to something else. Something moving slowly, very slowly, behind you. Pause. You swallow the air, dry, smelling of dust, and something else. Old, as if the room remembers someone who was here before you. You think, old houses are always like that. The walls breathe, the floor creaks, the cupboards are drying out, but then you hear it again. A faint sound. Wood. Like a door. Very carefully. Opening. Pause. You don't move, because there's one thing people learn very quickly in London. Not everything you hear in the dark is worth checking out. The candle flickers again. The flame tilts to one side. But the windows are closed. You know it. You've been checking. And in that moment, something inside you changes. It's not fear. Not yet. It's awareness. Slow. Heavy. You're not alone here. Pause. And you haven't even heard the worst yet. Rooms like this seem simple, cheap, temporary. There are thousands of them in late 19th century London. The houses are close together, the walls are thin, the people are even closer together. You don't ask who lived here before you, and no one asks where they disappeared to, because in places like this, people leave no traces. You run your fingers over the sheet. The fabric is rough, damp, not exactly dirty, but not clean either, as if it had been washed a long time ago and not enough. You breathe in deeper, and then you notice something else. The smell. It's not just musty, it's still, as if the air here hasn't moved in days, or maybe weeks. But that's not the worst of it. The worst of it is that you don't remember the room smelling like this when you walked in. Pause. You look at the door. It's closed. You're sure, and yet, something in this room has opened. There was a strange habit in London back then. Rooms were let very quickly. Sometimes the same day the previous occupant disappeared. No explanation, no questions. But there was a reason why it happened. And the people who knew her never stayed here for long. You turn your head slowly. Not all the way, just a little. Enough to see the edge of the room. Darkness. A wardrobe, old, narrow, wooden doors. They are not closed. Pause. You are sure they were closed before. The candle flickers again, and now you see it, very clearly. A crack, dark, deep, and something inside. You don't know what exactly yet, but your brain is already trying to find a shape, an outline, a silhouette. And at that moment, you understand another thing. You don't want to look any longer. Tonight, you are the man sitting on that bed, and whatever is inside that wardrobe has already seen you. Pause. In Victorian London, fear didn't always come from the street. Sometimes it was already inside, in rooms, in basements, in furniture that was passed from one occupant to another. People were afraid of many things back then. disease, poverty, darkness. But there was one fear that was almost never talked about: the fear of being alone, and realizing that you are never alone. A candle crackles, the flame goes out for a second, and then comes back on. And in that brief darkness, you almost swear that something inside the closet has moved. But you're not sure. Not yet. Because the worst thing about rooms like these is not what's there. It's that they sometimes don't let go of those who have already been here. Pause. And now, you begin to understand why this room was so cheap. The room before you. You don't move for a long time. The candle burns lower. Wax thickens on your fingers, cooling into a pale shell. Nothing else happens. No sound, no movement, no breath behind you. And slowly, your body begins to argue with your mind. It tells you that you imagined it, that the door did not move, that the air did not change, that the silence is just silence. You let that thought stay for a moment. Then you stand, carefully. The bed creaks beneath you, a slow, tired sound, as if it has carried too many nights like this before. Your feet touch the floor, cold, damp. The boards feel uneven, soft in places, as though something beneath them has shifted over time. You take one step, then another. The candlelight stretches across the room, pulling shadows into long shapes that don't quite match the furniture. The wardrobe stands against the far wall, narrow, tall, older than the rest of the room. Its door is still slightly open. You know you should not go closer. But there is a different kind of fear now. Not the fear of what is there, but the fear of not knowing. And in places like this, not knowing is worse. You take another step. The smell grows stronger. Not just damp wood now, something else, something enclosed, as if the air inside that wardrobe has not been touched in years. You stop an arm's length away. The door's open just enough for darkness to gather inside it. You raise the candle. The light trembles. For a second, nothing. Just shadow. Just old wood. Just a hanging shape that might be cloth. You lean closer, and then the floor shifts beneath your foot. A hollow sound. Not loud, but wrong. You freeze. Because floors are not supposed to sound empty in places like this. Not in a house that is still standing. You step back slightly, and the sound disappears. You try again. The same spot. A dull echo. As if there is space beneath. As if something has been taken out or put in. You look down. The boards are darker here, not stained. Just worn differently, handled, moved at some point. You feel the first real edge of fear now. Not sharp, not sudden, but steady, building. Because this is no longer about a sound behind you. Now the room itself is changing, and rooms do not change on their own. Not like this. In Victorian London, rooms like these passed from one tenant to the next with almost no record. People arrived with a bag, a coat, a few coins, and sometimes they left, and sometimes they didn't. Landlords did not ask questions, not if rent was paid, and if it wasn't, there were always others waiting. The city was too full, too hungry, too used to losing people quietly. You look back at the wardrobe. The door has not moved. Not since you approached, but something feels different. Not inside it, around it. You step closer again, this time slower. The candlelight slips inside the gap. It touches the back panel, bare wood, scratched, more than it should be. Long marks, vertical, repeated, as if something had pressed there again and again. You don't reach in. You don't need to, because your mind has already begun to understand, not fully, but enough. Enough to make you step back again. Enough to make your breath shallow, because those marks, they are not random. They are not damage. They are effort. Someone tried something. From the inside. You turn away, too quickly. The candle flickers hard, almost going out. The room shifts again into shadow, and for a moment you think, no, you are sure, that something moves just beyond the edge of the light. Not in the wardrobe, somewhere else, closer. You turn back immediately. Nothing. Just the bed, the chair, the door. Closed. Still closed. You stare at it, because now you are certain of something else. You did not hear anyone enter, and yet the room feels smaller, as if it has been filled, not with objects, but with presence. You take a step toward the door, slow, measured. Your hand rises, you hesitate, because leaving feels like the right choice, the obvious one. But something in you resists. A quiet thought, a dangerous one. If you leave now, you will never understand what this place is. And in London, there are worse things than fear. There is ignorance, because the people who do not understand the places they stay often return to them, again and again, until one night they don't leave. You lower your hand, you stay. The candle burns lower, the room grows darker, and behind you, though you do not turn this time, something shifts its weight, just slightly, as if it has been waiting for this moment. And now, it knows you are staying. The price of a cheap room. You do not sleep. Not really. You lie on the bed with your boots still on, the candle reduced to a thin, wavering thread of light beside you. Every time your eyes close, something in the room feels closer, not moving, just closer. At some point, the flame dies. The darkness does not fall suddenly. It settles, thick, quiet, patient. You keep your eyes open after that, because closing them feels like a decision, and you are not ready to make it. Morning comes slowly, not with light, but with sound. Distant wheels on wet stone, voices outside, a door somewhere below opening and closing, the city waking. You sit up. The room looks smaller in daylight, less mysterious, less threatening, almost ordinary, almost. The wardrobe stands where it was, closed now. You are sure it was open before. You don't remember touching it. You don't remember getting up. You tell yourself you must have. People do things in the dark they don't remember. That is a simpler explanation. You hold on to it. The boards under your feet feel the same, uneven, soft in places. That hollow spot is still there. You test it again. A dull echo answers you. It sounds less frightening now, more practical. Something beneath the floor, a gap. Old houses have those. You repeat that to yourself as you move across the room. The air is different in the morning, less heavy. But the smell is still there, faint now, but present. You open the door. The hallway is narrow, long, dim, even in daylight. Other doors line the walls, all closed. Too quiet for a house this full. You step out. The floor here is more stable, stronger. You follow the hallway toward the stairs, and as you do, you notice something small. On one of the doors, not yours, 2 rooms down, a mark, scratched into the wood, thin, careless, almost like a symbol. You slow down, look closer. It's not a symbol, not really, just lines, vertical, grouped, counted. You've seen something like that before, not in houses. Somewhere else. A place where time is measured slowly, and people wait. You move on. Downstairs, the air changes again, warmer, occupied. You hear movement now, a voice, low, speaking to someone you cannot see. You follow it into a small room near the front of the house. The landlord stands behind a narrow desk. He does not look up immediately. He finishes his sentence, waits, then turns toward you. His face is older than you expected. Not just aged, worn, like something has been pressing on it for years. You stayed, he says, not a question. You nod. He watches you for a moment longer than necessary, as if confirming something. Then he gestures toward a chair. You don't sit. You didn't hear anything? He asks. The question is too direct, too quick. You hesitate, just for a second, then, no. The word leaves your mouth easily, too easily. He studies your face, looking for something. You don't know what. After a moment, he nods. Good, he says, but it does not sound like relief. It sounds like acceptance. In places like this, people learn not to speak, not about noises, not about smells, not about rooms that feel different after dark. Because once you speak, you make it real. And once it is real, you have to decide what to do about it. Most choose not to. You reach into your pocket. Coins, enough for another night. You place them on the desk. He does not touch them immediately. Instead, he leans forward slightly. Rooms like yours don't stay empty long, he says. There is something behind the words, something unsaid. You feel it. But you don't ask. You don't want to hear the answer, not yet. He takes the coins, slides them into a drawer. Stay as long as you like, he adds. And this time, it does sound like something else. Not an offer, a condition. You leave the room. The hallway feels narrower now, more confined. You pass the marked door again. You stop this time. Just for a second. Your hand lifts, almost touches it, then drops. Because you realize something. You don't know who is inside, and you are not sure you want to. Back in your room, the light has shifted. The wardrobe stands still, closed, unmoving, almost harmless. You approach it again, slowly. You tell yourself this is daylight. Nothing hides in daylight. That is what people believe. That is what keeps them calm. You reach out. Your fingers touch the wood, cold, slightly damp. You open the door. Inside, nothing. Clothes, old, worn, not yours. You stare at them, because you did not bring these. A coat, a shirt, a pair of trousers, hanging carefully, as if someone expects to return. You do not touch them. You don't need to, because now the room feels different again. Not empty, occupied, paused. There's a reason some things are left behind, not forgotten. Left. You don't know why yet, but you can feel it. Like pressure, like something waiting to be understood. You close the wardrobe slowly, step back. The floor creaks again. That hollow space beneath you. It feels larger now, more real, more important. Because whatever happened in this room did not end with the person who wore those clothes. You sit on the bed again, the same spot as last night, the same position, without meaning to. And for a moment, you feel it, that same shift in the air, that same subtle change, as if something has adjusted itself to you. In Victorian London, people feared many things: disease, poverty, dark alleys. But there was another fear, quieter, less spoken. The fear of rooms that remembered their occupants, and sometimes refused to let them go. The candle is replaced now, fresh, new. But the light it gives is the same, weak, uncertain. You hold it closer, watch the flame, because it is easier than looking behind you. And then, without warning, it leans. Not much, just enough, as if something moved past it, very close. You don't turn this time. You don't need to, because now you already know. This room was never empty, and it is beginning to understand you are here to stay. What the house keeps. By afternoon, the city sounds return. Not loudly, never loudly here, just enough to remind you that life continues outside these walls. Wheels grinding over stone, a distant shout, the thin echo of footsteps somewhere below. But inside the house, everything remains held, as if the building itself refuses to join the day. You sit by the small window. It barely opens, just a crack. Enough for air, not enough for escape. The glass is uneven, distorting the street below into warped shapes. People move past, but they look distant, detached, like they belong to another place entirely. You press your fingers against the frame, cold, damp. The wood gives slightly under pressure. Old, too old to trust. There's a reason rooms like this are cheap, not just because of size, not just because of location, but because people don't stay. Not long enough to complain, not long enough to be heard. You stand again. The floor shifts, that same hollow beneath you. You step there on purpose now. Listen. The sound answers, deeper than before, as if something below has changed or opened. You crouch, run your fingers along the seam between the boards. Dust gathers there, thick, undisturbed in most places, but not here. Here it is broken, shifted, as if the boards have been moved. Not recently, but not long enough ago to forget. You press harder. One of the boards dips slightly, just enough. Your breath slows, because now you are no longer imagining things. Now the room is responding. In Victorian London, houses were built quickly, too quickly. Rooms divided, walls added, floors altered. Not for comfort, for profit. More rooms meant more tenants. More tenants meant more money. And when something went wrong, it was easier to cover it than to fix it. You slide your fingers into the narrow gap, pull. The board resists, then shifts, just slightly. A dull scrape echoes beneath. You freeze. Listen. Nothing answers. No movement. No sound from the hallway. No voice. You try again. This time the board lifts a little higher, enough to create a narrow opening, dark, cold, breathing up from below. The smell rises stronger now, not just damp, not just stale, Something closed away, something that should not have stayed this long. You stop. Because there is a line here, a quiet one, but clear. Everything up to this moment could still be explained. Old wood, poor construction, forgotten repairs. But what lies beneath that board will not be simple. You let it fall back into place. The sound is heavier than you expect. Final. You stand slowly, back away. Your eyes move toward the wardrobe again, without meaning to, because now you understand something. The wardrobe was not the only thing in this room that was left behind. A sound interrupts you. Not from the floor, not from behind you, from the hallway. A footstep, soft, measured. You turn toward the door. The handle does not move, but the presence is there. Just outside, you hold your breath. Wait. The step does not repeat, but it does not leave either. It stays, as if someone is standing there, listening. You move closer, slowly, carefully. Your hand rises toward the door, then stops, because something inside you resists again. The same instinct as before. Not curiosity, not fear, something deeper, a warning. There are things in this house that react when you notice them, and things that remain still until you come closer. You step back instead. The presence outside remains for a moment longer, then a shift, a retreat. The floor outside creaks once, then silence. You wait. Count your breaths. 10, 20. Nothing returns. When you finally move again, it is slower, more careful, because now the house has changed. Not physically, but in the way it feels. It is aware. You sit again on the bed, not because you are tired, but because you need to think, to hold something steady, to make sense of it. And as you sit there, you remember something. A story. Not told directly, never clearly, but passed between people who had stayed in places like this. Rooms too cheap, too quiet, too easy to enter. They spoke about houses that were altered, not by design, but by necessity, after something had happened, something that could not be explained or removed. So it was hidden, covered, closed in, left beneath the floor, or behind a wall, or inside a room no one questioned. You look down again at the spot where the board moved, and now the thought comes fully, clear, cold. What if this room was not empty when you arrived? Not truly. What if something was simply contained? The candle flickers again, but this time there is no wind, no movement, just the flame reacting, as if something has passed near it, behind you. You do not turn, not immediately, because now you understand something else. Turning does not change what is there. In the late 1800s, there were cases, not common, not recorded properly, but known. Houses where tenants vanished, quietly, without witnesses, without noise. Sometimes the rooms were closed, left empty, for a time, until the need for rent outweighed the memory. And then, someone new arrived. You sit very still, because the room has become quiet again. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that presses inward, that waits. And then, very softly, from the direction of the wardrobe, a sound. Not wood, not fabric, something lighter. A shift of weight, controlled, careful, as if whatever is there is trying not to be heard. You close your eyes for a moment, just one, and when you open them again, the room looks the same. But you know now, that does not mean anything, because in places like this, what you don't see is already moving. The other doors. You wait until the house exhales. It takes time, not minutes, longer, the kind of time that stretches when you are listening for something that does not want to be heard. At last, the hallway gives you a small sign. A board settles, a faint shift in the walls, the low murmur of a voice far below. The house loosens its grip, just a little. You stand. The candle is new again. You don't remember replacing it. You don't question it. There are things you have already decided not to question. You open your door. The hallway is the same as before, narrow, dim, lined with doors that look identical until you stare long enough to notice they are not. Some have scratches near the handle. Some have deeper marks lower down, as if made by something that did not stand upright. One door has a patch where the wood is newer, a repair, badly done. You step into the corridor. It feels longer today. Or perhaps you are moving slower, You pass the door with the marks you saw earlier, the vertical lines. You stop again. This time, you count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A pause. Then another group. You have seen this before. In places where time is endured, measured, survived. You don't touch the door, but your eyes linger on the handle, worn smooth, more than the others, as if it has been used often or tried from the inside. You move on. The stairs are quiet. You descend carefully. The house listens when you move too quickly. You have learned that much already. At the bottom, the front room is empty. The landlord is gone. The desk remains. The drawer where he placed your coins is slightly open. You notice this without meaning to, without wanting to, because noticing things here has a way of changing them. You turn away. The front door stands closed. You open it. The street greets you like a different world. Noise, movement, life. People passing close enough to touch. You step outside. The air is clearer here, colder, but alive. You breathe deeper, as if you have been holding your breath since the night before. Maybe you have. Victorian London does not pause. Not for fear, not for absence. Rooms are filled, lives replaced. A man disappears, another takes his place. No one asks, not loudly, because the city has learned to survive by not looking too closely. You walk a short distance, not far, just enough to see the house from the outside. It looks smaller, less imposing. Just another building in a long row, windows dark, unremarkable. You try to find your room, second floor, third window from the left. You stare at it. The glass reflects the street. You cannot see inside, and yet you feel watched. You look away quickly, because that feeling does not belong outside. And if it follows you here, then the room is not the only thing that remembers. You return sooner than you planned. Not because you want to, but because something draws you back. A quiet pull, the kind that does not feel like choice. Inside, the house is the same, still, held. You close the door behind you. The sound is softer than it should be, as if the walls absorb it. You move toward the stairs, and then a sound. Above. A footstep, not yours, not an echo, distinct, measured. You freeze, because you know the rhythm now. This is not the house settling. This is movement, deliberate. You look up. The stairwell is dim. The upper floor disappears into shadow. Another step, closer. Then silence. You don't follow. You shouldn't. But the thought forms anyway. Clear, unwelcome. If someone else is in this house, why have you not seen them? You climb slowly, each step taken with care. The boards respond under your weight, but not loudly. They have learned you, or you have learned them. Halfway up, you stop, listen. Nothing. You continue. At the top, the hallway stretches before you again. But something is different, subtle, hard to place. Then you see it. One of the doors is open, just slightly. Not yours, the marked one. The door with the vertical lines. You stand still, because you are certain of something. That door was closed before. You remember it clearly. You told yourself not to touch it, and you didn't. The gap is narrow, dark, like the wardrobe, like the space beneath the floor. You approach without deciding to, step by step. The air changes again, thicker, closer. You stop in front of the door. The marks are clearer now, deeper than you thought. Not scratches, carvings, made with effort, repeated, patient. You reach out. This time, you do touch it. The wood is cold, colder than the rest of the hallway, as if it has not felt warmth in a long time. You push the door gently. It opens without resistance. Inside, another room, smaller than yours, empty at first, just a bed, a chair, a narrow table. The same layout, the same feeling. You step in. The floor does not creak here. It holds firm, as if it has not been disturbed. And then you see it, on the wall, near the bed. More marks. The same pattern, groups of 5, counted, time measured. But there are more here, many more, too many to count quickly. You feel something tighten in your chest, because now the pattern is clear. This was not random. This was waiting. You move closer. The marks grow deeper toward the end, more uneven, as if the hand that made them had weakened or rushed. There is something else, below the marks, faint, almost erased. Words. You lean in. The candlelight flickers. You read them slowly, not all at once, because your mind resists. Still here. The letters are rough, pressed into the wood, not carved, written, with something that did not last. You step back. The room feels smaller now, closer, like it is folding inward. In London, there were stories, not printed, not confirmed, but told quietly, of rooms that were used more than once, not for living, for holding. People who could not pay, people who could not leave, people who were forgotten. You look toward the door. You do not remember closing it. But it is not as open as it was. The gap has narrowed, just slightly. You move toward it, slowly, because now you understand something else. The house does not always trap you quickly. Sometimes it waits. You reach the door. Your hand touches the edge, and for a moment, you hesitate. Because leaving this room means returning to yours, and yours is no longer safe. You step into the hallway again. The air feels different, not lighter, just aware. Behind you, very softly, the door closes. You do not turn. You don't need to, because now you know. There are other rooms in this house, and they remember. The man who listened. You don't return to your room immediately. You stand in the hallway, the candle held lower now, as if lowering it might make you less visible. The door behind you, the one with the marks, is closed, fully, as though it had never been opened. You keep your eyes on it a moment longer than necessary, because something about that room feels unfinished. Not empty, not abandoned, paused. You move away slowly, back toward your door. Each step measured, each sound deliberate. The house seems to follow your rhythm now, listening, adjusting. Inside your room, everything is as you left it. The bed, the chair, the wardrobe, closed. You watch it for a long moment, waiting. Nothing moves, nothing shifts. And yet, you no longer believe that stillness means safety. You set the candle down, sit on the bed again, the same place, the same position. It feels like a pattern now, like the room expects it. There is a knock, not loud, not sudden, just a soft, deliberate tap. On your door. You don't answer. You don't move, because the knock is wrong. Too careful, too aware. It comes again, 2 taps this time. Closer together, as if the person outside knows you are there. You stand, slowly. Your hand rises toward the door, stops, because there is a rule forming in your mind now, a simple one. If something in this house asks for attention, it is better not to give it. The silence stretches. Then, a voice, low, from the other side. You should not open that door at night. The landlord, you recognize him now. Not from his tone, from the way the words are placed, measured, controlled. You don't respond immediately. The candle flickers once. You glance at it, then back to the door. It's not night, you say. Your voice sounds quieter than you expect. A pause, then, no, he agrees, but it will be. The words settle in the room, heavy, not threatening, just certain. You open the door, carefully. He stands there, closer than you expected. His face looks different in this light, more tired, more aware. You went into the other room, he says. Again, not a question. You don't answer, because you know now. This house does not require you to speak for things to be known. He studies you, then steps past you, into your room. Without asking, you feel something tighten in your chest because no one has entered this space since you arrived. Not openly. He walks slowly, looks at the wardrobe, the bed, the floor. His eyes pause briefly at the spot where the board shifts. You felt it, he says. You nod. This time, you don't hide it, because there is no point. He exhales. Not relief, not frustration, something else. Recognition. In this part of the city, he begins, things were done quietly. He runs his hand along the back of the chair, not touching it fully, just close, as if remembering. People stayed in rooms like this when they had nowhere else to go. He pauses, then adds, and sometimes they stayed longer than they intended. You watch him. Wait, because you know this is only the surface. There were arrangements, he continues, between landlords and others. He doesn't explain who. He doesn't need to. Rooms were used. Another pause, careful, measured. Not always for living. The words land harder than anything he has said so far, because now the room feels different again. Not mysterious, not uncertain, defined. You glance at the wardrobe, then at the floor, then back to him. And the marks, you ask? He looks toward the door, toward the hallway, toward the room you entered. They counted time, he says. Silence. Why, you ask? This time he hesitates, just slightly. Because when you are kept somewhere, he says slowly, time is the only thing you can still control. The air tightens. The candle dips. And the ones who left, you ask? He meets your eyes, directly, for the first time. They didn't always leave, he says. A pause, longer than before. Some of them, he continues, were simply moved. You feel it then. Not fear, not yet. Understanding. Slow, heavy, settling into place. The hollow beneath the floor, the smell, the wardrobe, the other room, the marks. All of it connects. You should not open things in this house, he says quietly. You almost laugh. Not because it's funny, because it's too late. You rented me the room, you reply. He nods. Yes. And you didn't say anything. Another nod. No. You stare at him, waiting, because now there is only one question left. Why? He does not answer immediately. He looks around the room again, slower this time, as if making sure something is still where it should be. Because, he says at last, people who ask questions, he stops, corrects himself, don't usually stay. The words hang in the air, unfinished, but clear. He moves toward the door, stops before leaving. If you hear something tonight, he says without turning, do not answer it. And then he is gone. The door remains open behind him. The hallway stretches beyond, empty. You stand in the middle of the room, alone again, but now the room is no longer uncertain. It has a history, a purpose, and whatever is here with you is not here by accident. The candle flickers once more, stronger this time, as if something has moved very close. Behind you. You do not turn, because now you understand something else. You are not the first person to learn this, and you may not be the last. The sound beneath you, do not light a second candle. One is enough, more than enough. Light does not make this room safer. It only shows you how much of it there is to see. You sit where you sat before, same place, same angle, as if the room prefers you this way. The boards beneath you feel softer now, not broken, worn, as if something has pressed against them from below, repeatedly. You listen, not to the walls, not to the wardrobe, to the floor, because now you know where the room begins to change. At first, nothing, just the faint hum of the house, the slow settling of wood, the distant life of the city leaking through the walls. Then, something else, so quiet you almost miss it, a dull shift. Not above, not beside, below. You hold your breath. The sound comes again, closer this time. Not louder, clearer, like movement in a confined space. The hollow beneath the boards is not empty. You know that now. You slide your foot slightly forward, press down. The board answers. That same dull echo. But this time, something responds. Not immediately, a delay, a second, maybe two. Then, a soft pressure from below, as if something has pressed upward, testing, matching your movement. You freeze, because that is not how floors behave. You lift your foot. The pressure disappears. You wait. Count your breath again. 1, 2, 3, nothing. You press down again, more carefully this time, less weight, just enough to feel. And again, the response, subtle, measured, intentional. You step back. The board settles. The room goes still. There are explanations. There are always explanations. Rats, water, old structures shifting, but none of them explain timing. In the late 19th century, there were places beneath houses. Not cellars, not exactly. Spaces that were never meant to be lived in, but were used anyway, because space in London was always needed. Even the kind no one spoke about. You crouch slowly. The candle lowers with you. The light moves across the floor. The seam between the boards becomes visible again. That thin, dark line, not quite straight, not quite natural. You reach out, stop, because touching it changes things. You have learned that. Instead, you listen again. Closer now, closer to the floor. At first, nothing. Then, a sound. So faint it feels imagined. A scrape. Soft. Irregular. Not wood. Not exactly. You lean closer, your ear almost to the boards. The candle flickers wildly beside you. The flame reacts before you do. And then you hear it. Not movement, not breath. A pattern. 3 short sounds. Pause. 2 more. Pause. Then, silence. You pull back. Your heart is steady, too steady, because part of you has already begun to understand. You have seen that pattern before, on the door. Groups of marks, counted, measured, repeated. Time. You sit back slowly, because now the room is no longer hiding its nature. It is showing it, piece by piece. There is something beneath the floor. Not recently, not newly placed. Something that has been there long enough to develop a rhythm. You look toward the wardrobe. It remains still, closed. But you are no longer watching it, because the danger has shifted. You move back onto the bed. Slowly. Carefully. As if distance might change something. It doesn't. The sound comes again, fainter now, but still there. 3. Pause. 2. You close your eyes just for a moment. And in that moment, you imagine something. Not clearly, not fully, but enough. A confined space, dark, no air, no movement, except what can be made. Repeatedly, over time. You open your eyes, the candle dips again, this time more sharply, as if something has moved close to it. Not below, behind you. You turn slowly. The wardrobe door is not fully closed anymore. You are certain of this because you have been watching it. You would have seen it move, and yet the gap is there. Small, but present. The same as before. The room does not need to move when you are looking. You understand that now. It waits. You stand. Your legs feel steady, stronger than before. Because fear has changed shape. It is no longer sharp. It is constant. You take one step toward the wardrobe, then stop, because something beneath the floor shifts again. Harder this time, more urgent. The pattern breaks, no longer measured, no longer counted. Now, it sounds like movement. You step back. The candle shakes in your hand, wax spills. You barely notice. Because the sound below you is no longer subtle. It is closer. And for the first time, you realize something that changes everything. The space beneath the floor is not as deep as you thought. It is just below, close enough to touch, close enough to reach. You step away from the hollow spot, instinctively, because something inside you understands now that whatever is beneath you is no longer waiting. The sound stops, abrupt. The silence that follows is heavier than before. You stand in the center of the room, not moving, not breathing fully. And then, very softly, from directly beneath where you were sitting, a single sound, a knock. Not loud, not violent, deliberate. From below, the space between. You don't answer the knock, not at first, because answering would mean accepting what it is, and you are not ready to accept it. You stand in the middle of the room, the candle trembling slightly in your hand, the flame bending as if something unseen is breathing close to it. The floor is quiet now, still, too still. You tell yourself it could have been anything. Wood shifting, pipes beneath the house, someone in another room. But none of those things knock. Not like that. Not with intention. You move slowly toward the spot again. Not because you want to, because something in you insists. The same pull that brought you back into the house. The same quiet force that made you open the other door. You stop just short of it. The board looks the same. No gap, no movement, nothing to suggest what lies beneath. You wait. Listen. Count your breath again. Nothing. Then another knock, softer, closer, as if whatever made it has moved upward. You step back instinctively. Your heel hits the bed frame. The sound echoes too sharply in the room. You freeze, because now you are not just listening, you are being heard. The knock does not come again, but something changes. The silence is no longer empty. It feels attentive. In parts of London like this, there were spaces people did not speak about. Not cellars, not rooms. Something in between. Too small to live in, too hidden to be found easily. Used for storage, or for things that needed to be forgotten. You crouch again, slower this time, more deliberate. The candlelight spreads across the floor. The seam between the boards glows faintly in the flicker. You reach out, pause. Then, this time, you don't stop. Your fingers press into the gap. You pull. The board resists, then shifts. The same dull scrape, the same hollow breath rising from below, but stronger now, colder. You lift it just enough, not fully, just enough to see darkness beneath. And for a moment, nothing happens. Then, a sound. Not a knock, not a scrape, a movement, closer than before. You drop the board, hard. The sound fills the room, too loud, too final. You step back quickly, your breath uneven now. Because you made a mistake. You crossed the line. And something below noticed. The floor remains still, but not quiet, not truly. There is a presence now, not moving, not knocking, waiting. You turn away, fast this time, toward the door, toward the hallway, toward anything that is not this room. You open it. The corridor is empty, but it feels different now, more distant, less safe. You step out, close the door behind you. The sound echoes softly. For a moment, relief. Then, from inside the room, a sound, the board, moving. You don't turn back, you don't open the door again, because now you understand something else. The space beneath the floor is not sealed. You move down the hallway, faster now, past the marked door, past the others. The house feels narrower, longer, as if it is stretched. Halfway to the stairs, you stop, because the marked door, the one with the scratches, is open again, wider this time. You don't remember leaving it like that. You are certain you didn't. You step closer, slowly, against your better judgment. Inside, the room is the same, the bed, the wall, the marks, but something has changed. The air, heavier, warmer, occupied. You don't step inside this time. You don't need to, because you see it from the doorway, near the wall, below the marks, the words. Still here, but not as you saw them before. They are darker now, clearer, as if they were not just written once, as if they have been traced, repeated. You stare at them, trying to understand, trying to make sense of what you are seeing. And then you notice something else. A new line, not part of the original words, not faded, not old, fresh, barely visible, but there. You lean closer, the candlelight trembles, and slowly the words form. Not alone. You step back immediately, your chest tight, your breath shallow. Because now the message is not a record. It is a response. Something in this house is no longer remembering. It is communicating. You turn away, quickly, toward the stairs. Behind you, the door moves, slowly, closing. You don't wait to hear it shut. You are already moving, down the steps, into the lower floor, into the part of the house that still feels almost normal. But even here, something follows. Not footsteps, not sound, awareness. Because now the house has changed again. You open something, and whatever is inside is no longer waiting in one place. The rooms that wait. You do not go back upstairs. Not yet. You stay on the lower floor, where the walls feel thicker, and the sounds of the street can still reach you in thin, distant threads. It is not safety, but it is something closer to it. The front room is empty again, the desk, the chair, the half-open drawer. Nothing has changed, and yet everything has. Because now you understand what this house does. It does not reveal itself all at once. It lets you learn, slowly, piece by piece. You sit for a moment, not to rest, to think, to gather what you know. There is something beneath your room, not empty, not sealed. There are other rooms, marked, used, remembering. And there is something else, something that moves between them. You stand again, because sitting still now feels worse than moving. The hallway stretches before you. You notice more this time, details that were not there before, or were there but unseen. A door near the back, different from the others, heavier, reinforced, the handle worn more than the rest. You approach it, slowly. because now every door feels like a choice. You stop just short, your hand hovers, then lowers. There are rules here, unspoken, but real. Open one thing, and something else opens in return. You turn away, not this door, not yet. Instead, you move toward the stairs again. But you don't climb immediately. You listen. Above, nothing. Too quiet. The house is waiting. In Victorian London, fear often lived in silence, not in noise, not in violence, in absence. In the spaces where something should have been and wasn't. People vanished, quietly. From rooms like yours, from streets like these, from houses no one wanted to question. And sometimes, they did not vanish completely. You begin to climb, carefully, each step slower than the last. At the top, the hallway waits, unchanged, at first. Then you notice it, your door, open. You are certain you closed it. You remember the sound, you remember the moment. And yet, there it is, wide enough to see inside. The candlelight spills out into the hallway, flickering, unsteady. You didn't leave a candle burning. You step closer, slowly. The air shifts again, the same way it did before. Inside the room, everything is in place. The bed, the chair, the wardrobe. But something is wrong. The candle on the table, it is not the one you used. It burns differently, the flame steadier, stronger. You don't move, because now the room feels occupied in a way it never did before. Not by presence, by intention. You take one step forward, then stop. The floor remains still, no sound from below. That is worse. You enter slowly. The air is warmer. You feel it immediately. Not natural warmth, not from the candle, something else. You glance at the wardrobe, closed, still. You glance at the floor. The hollow spot is there, but quiet. Then something catches your eye. The bed, the blanket has shifted slightly. Not enough to be obvious, but enough. You step closer, carefully. The fabric is pulled just a little toward the edge, as if someone sat there recently. You don't touch it. You don't need to, because now you feel it again. That same presence, but stronger, closer, not behind you, not below you. In the room, you turn slowly. Nothing. And yet, you know, you are not alone here, not anymore. In London, there were stories of rooms that did not empty, even when the people inside them were gone. Rooms that held something back, not memory, something else. You move toward the door again. Instinct, survival. But before you reach it, a sound from the floor. Not a knock this time, a shift, then something pushing from below. The board lifts slightly, just enough to see the gap. Dark. And then, for the first time, you see it. Not clearly, not fully. A shape, moving, reaching. You step back immediately, your breath sharp now, uncontrolled, because the space beneath the floor is no longer hidden. It is opening. And whatever is inside is no longer waiting. You turn toward the door, but it moves, slowly, closing, on its own. The gap narrows. You rush forward, but stop, because something behind you shifts. Not the wardrobe, not the floor. Closer. You don't turn. You don't need to. Because now you understand something else. The house is no longer containing it. It is releasing it. And you are inside with it. What they buried. The door does not close all the way. It stops just short. A narrow gap remains. Enough to see the hallway. Enough to know it is still there. But not enough to reach it quickly. You don't move. Not yet. Because everything in the room has shifted. Not physically. Not in a way you can point to. But in the way it feels. The air is no longer still. It moves. Slowly. As if something unseen is passing through it. Behind you, the floor. You hear it again, that same sound, but different now. Not a knock, a push. The board lifts further this time. Just slightly, but enough. Enough to break the line. Enough to show the darkness beneath. You take a step back, then another, until you feel the bed behind your legs. The candle flickers violently now, the flame bending sharply toward the floor, as if drawn. In the late 1800s, there were reports, not official, Not recorded properly, but known among certain people. Men hired to repair floors, to reinforce structures, to clear out spaces that should not have been there. They spoke of finding things beneath rooms, not bodies, not always, spaces that had been used repeatedly, rooms below rooms. You don't crouch this time, you don't go closer, because the room has already shown you enough. The board shifts again, higher now, the gap widening, and something moves beneath it. Not fast, careful, as if learning. You turn your head slightly, not fully, just enough to see the edge of the opening. A shape, not clear, not defined, but present. You step back again. Your hand reaches for the wall behind you, cold, solid, real, because now you need something that does not move. The shape beneath the floor presses upward again. The board tilts, and for a moment, you see something you cannot fully understand. A hand. Not reaching, resting, just beneath the surface, as if it has always been there, waiting. You look away, immediately, because your mind resists what your eyes are trying to confirm. In Victorian London, there were stories about people who disappeared. Not taken, not chased, contained. Kept in places no one would search, because no one believed those places existed. The board shifts again, louder this time. The gap widening, the hand disappears, but the movement does not stop. Something else is coming. You turn toward the door again. The gap is still there, still small, still reachable. You take a step forward, then stop, because something else changes. The wardrobe, a sound. Not wood, not hinges, movement inside. You don't look, you don't want to, because now you understand something that you did not before. It is not just beneath the floor. It is not just in one place. It moves. Between spaces, between rooms, between what is seen and what is hidden. You take another step toward the door. Closer now, your hand lifts, almost touches it. And then, a voice. Not loud, not clear, but there, from behind you. Still here, the same words, from the other room. You freeze, because this time they are not written. They are spoken. You do not turn. You cannot. Because something inside you knows that if you look, you will see it fully, and there will be no doubt left. The floor shifts again, behind you, closer now, and then another sound. From the wardrobe, a slow, deliberate opening. You move, fast, toward the door. Your hand grabs the handle, pulls. It resists, not locked, held. You pull harder. The gap widens slightly, enough to see the hallway again. Empty, silent, unaware. You turn your head slightly, just enough. And in the edge of your vision, you see it. Something standing in the room. Not fully formed, not fully visible, but there, between the wardrobe and the floor. Watching, waiting. And then it moves. Not toward you, toward the door, toward the space between you and the exit. Closing it, slowly, deliberately, because now you are no longer just inside the room. You are inside what was hidden beneath it the night you arrived. You stop pulling the door, not because you choose to, because something in the room has already made the decision for you. The handle no longer resists. It simply does not move, as if the door is no longer an exit, only a boundary. You step back, slowly. The candle shakes in your hand, the flame bending sharply, reacting to something you cannot see but can now feel clearly. The space around you is no longer empty. It is occupied. And then you understand. Not everything, not yet, but enough. This is not the first night. The thought comes without warning, without logic, but it settles instantly, heavier than anything you have felt so far. You turn your head slightly, carefully, not fully, just enough to see the room again, the bed, the floor, the wardrobe, all in place, but not as they were. Something has shifted, not physically, in time. You take a breath, and it feels familiar, too familiar, because you have been here before, not in memory, in pattern. You sit down, without deciding to, on the edge of the bed, the exact same position, the same angle, the same stillness, and suddenly, the beginning returns. The candle in your hand, the silence, the feeling behind you, the moment before you understood. You hear it again, that first sound, the wardrobe. A soft movement, a shift of wood, a door opening. But this time, you are not just hearing it. You are inside it, watching it happen again. The same way, the same pace, as if the room is repeating itself, not remembering, replaying. You stand, but your movement feels delayed, like you are following something that has already happened. You step forward, toward the wardrobe, and for a moment, everything aligns. The marks on the other door, the words on the wall, the sound beneath the floor, the presence behind you, all of it is the same thing, not separate, not different. One. You stop, because now you see it. Not clearly, not completely, but enough. The room was not used once. It was used again, and again, and again. And each time, someone stayed. Not by choice, by design. The space beneath the floor, the hidden rooms, the marks, they were not accidents, they were part of something, a system. You turn your head slightly more, and now you see it, not fully, but closer than before. A shape, standing behind you. Not moving, not reaching, waiting. The same distance, the same position, as if it has always been there. You don't turn further because you already know what you will see. Not a face, not clearly, but a presence that has learned this room, that understands it, that belongs to it. The floor shifts again, below, and suddenly, you understand the first sound, the one from the beginning. It was not random. It was not movement. It was the same thing, trying, from below. The same pattern, the same rhythm, time, counting, waiting. You step forward, toward the wardrobe, because now the room is no longer hiding. It is showing you everything. The door is slightly open, the same way it was before. You reach out, your hand trembling now, not from fear, from recognition, because this moment has already happened. You push the door open. Inside, darkness, and something else. Not clothes, not emptiness. Depth. Space that should not be there, leading somewhere. Down. The same place beneath the floor, the same place the sound came from. You step back, because now the room connects. All of it. The wardrobe, the floor, the other rooms. They are not separate. They lead to the same place. And the people who stayed here were not lost. They were moved. Below. The shape behind you shifts. Closer now. Not threatening, not urgent. Certain. You close your eyes for a moment, and in that moment, you feel it. The same position, the same stillness, the same waiting. From before. From below. And when you open your eyes again, you understand the final part. This room does not trap people. It repeats them. And now, you have reached the beginning again. The room that remains. You do not open your eyes immediately. For a moment, you let the darkness stay. Not the darkness of the room, something deeper, quieter, because now you understand the shape of it. Not just the room, not just the house, the pattern. You inhale slowly. The air is familiar, too familiar. When you open your eyes, nothing is where it should be. The room is the same and not the same. The bed is there, the candle, the wardrobe, but the distance between them feels wrong. Closer, compressed, as if the space itself has shifted. You stand. Your movement feels heavier now, not slower, just resisted. The floor beneath you does not creak, not like before. It holds, as if something beneath it is no longer hollow. You look down. The board you lifted is gone. Not moved, not replaced, gone. In its place, a single surface, sealed. You kneel, touch it. Cold, solid, no gap, no seam. As if it was never meant to open. As if it never did. You pull your hand back. Because now the room is no longer offering you a choice. It is closing. Behind you, the wardrobe. You hear it again. That slow, deliberate sound. Opening. You turn, this time fully, and you see it. Not as a shadow, not as a shape. Clearly enough. A figure. Standing inside the wardrobe. Not moving, not reaching, watching. Its outline is wrong. Not because of what it is, but because of where it stands. Too deep, too far back, as if the space behind it continues. Farther than the wardrobe should allow. You take a step back. Your body knows now. That space is not part of the room. It is something else. Something that connects. The floor, the other rooms, the marks, all of it leads there. You feel it again, that presence behind you. But this time it is not behind you, it is everywhere. The walls, the floor, the air. You are no longer inside the room, you are inside it, the system, the place that holds what the house does not show. You step toward the door. Instinct, reflex. It opens. Easily. The hallway beyond is empty, unchanged, too normal. You step into it, and for a moment, everything feels distant. Like the room is already behind you, like you have left. You turn, the door's closed, not slowly, not gently. Finished. You stand there, waiting. Nothing happens. No sound, no movement. The house is still again, as if it has returned to what it was before you arrived. You walk toward the stairs, each step lighter now, the air clearer, the sounds of the street return. Life continues. You reach the front door, open it. The city is there, unchanged. People pass, voices carry, the world moves. You step outside, and for the first time, you breathe fully. The air is cold, real. You take another step, then another. The house behind you fades into the row of buildings. Just another door, just another window. You should leave, keep walking, not look back, but something stops you. Not fear, habit. You turn. Second floor, third window. You look up. The glass reflects the street. At first. Then, just for a second, the reflection shifts, and you see it, inside. Someone sitting on the edge of the bed, still, holding a candle, not moving, waiting. You stare, because the shape is familiar. The posture, the angle, the stillness. It is you, not as you are now, as you were. At the beginning, before you understood, before you saw, before you knew. The reflection flickers, and then it is gone. Just glass, just light, just a room, empty. You stand there longer than you should, because now the final piece settles. You did not escape the room. You completed it. And somewhere inside that house, the pattern continues. The candle, the silence, the feeling behind you, waiting for the next person who needs a cheap room, for the next person who will sit on the bed and hear the first sound and think it's nothing. And somewhere beneath the floor of London, in spaces no one maps, the city still keeps what it cannot explain. And the rooms that remember never stay empty for long.